Hey Mentees, welcome to another edition of Near Mint Collective Gaming Edition, where today we're going to talk about my favorite series of video games, The Legend of Zelda. It's really good to get back behind the camera and talk to you guys. It's been a long time. I've missed this. So what better way to get things reunited than The Legend of Zelda? This year, 2021, is the 35th anniversary of the original release of The Legend of Zelda, back in February 21st, 1986, on the Japanese Famicom. It's right down there. So I thought it'd be really cool to talk about my top 10 plus one, because if I didn't leave off the one, you all would complain. Top 10 plus one favorite Zelda video games. So if you know me, you probably can guess this list anyway, but I want to jump right into it. So take a guess on what you think my number one is, and what my game that I can't leave off is, which is Majora's Mask. So, okay. I do enjoy this game. This was not going to make my original top 10. It's a great game, but I think there are 10 other games that are better than this one. But this is a lot of fun. This is really scary. It kind of freaked me out when I was a kid. It needed the expansion Rumble Pack. It was built in 18 months off of the original Ocarina of Time engine, so it was a quick turnaround game, and the game's really good. It's been remade for systems. It's been remade for the 3DS, and it came in this really cool collector's box. It came with the Skull Kid, who's also kind of creepy too. So, Majora's Mask, number 10 plus one. Great game, still holds up. You should definitely check it out and play it if you have not. So let's actually begin the top 10. So, game number 10. Okay, you all know me, I'm kind of cheating. Even though this is game number 10, I'm counting the two of these things. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. I had to look and see which one is it. For the Game Boy Color. Now, these games were made by Capcom. They were originally going to be 3 of them, and this was supposed to be a remake of the original Zelda game. But Capcom went in their own way and made these things. Introduced puzzles and action-oriented. There's supposed to be a third one too, but we just got the two, the Ages and the Seasons. But these are a lot of fun. They're on eShops, they're available digitally. Check them out. So Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons. Number 9. This is a little bit of controversy because a lot of people don't like this game, and I don't know what their problem is. Well, yeah, I do. They're not of near mint condition age like me.
I am much older now.
The Legend of Zelda, The Adventure of Link. This game has a very special place in my heart. Back when this game originally came out back in 1988, 7, 8, it was really hard to find. There was a chip shortage going on. Chip shortage, that sounds familiar. There was a chip shortage going on, and you could not buy the game. And I remember being like, 12, 14, 16, something like that, begging, Mom, please find this, please find this. She had to go to Sears, Children's Palace, Service Merchandise. Do you remember these places? Put comments in the description if you do. Trying to find this game. And fortunately, we did find it, and it was a glorious Christmas. I remember inviting friends over to beat the game, recording them with my Pixel 2000 camera. It's a lot of fun. And even to this day, I love this game. I love the side-scrolling, I love the action, I have a lot of memories attached to it. The original Adventure of Link was released as a floppy disk on the Famicom. Let me show you what this floppy disk looks like. This is really neat. So we get some cool art with this book, and we also get this disc. And this is a magnetic disc. You would put this into your Famicom disk system that sat under your system. Nintendo created technology to allow battery backups and save in higher memory on chips, so they didn't need to bring the disk system over here. We got this on a cartridge, but this was how Zelda 2 was originally released. Pretty neat. Since Famicom disk systems, there's a rubber belt in the system, and it tends to kind of crack and rot away. Nintendo was very kind and decided to release a whole bunch of the original disk systems on Game Boy Advance cartridges. So that's what this is right here. This is the Famicom Classic release of The Legend of Zelda 2. The Adventure of Link, and it comes in a little box, little things. This is really neat. So those of you who had these old discs and were like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to play this anymore, you had a way. Nintendo made a way. Thanks. Number 8. This game has a very special place in my heart. This is the first game where I actually was like, I have to help Princess Zelda. That would be The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So this is the first game, second game on the Wii, but it was the first game that really took advantage of Wii controls. It came with a golden Wii remote, and you use this to interact with the sword. The previous release on the Wii, Twilight Princess, basically it was the same game as the GameCube game, but flipped, so Link could be right-handed. Link is left-handed, but majority of players, sorry, unless you're ambidextrous, are right-handed. So they flipped the world for that game. So for this, they just said, all right, Link is right-handed, and you use this to do all your swords and slashes. This is being re-released for the Switch, and it has better motion controls because of the more precise nature of the Joy-Cons. But going through this game, it was a combination of the cartoon look of Wind Waker plus the more realistic look of Twilight Princess, because you said you wanted cartoons. We gave you cartoons, and then you didn't want that. Then you want the realistic one, and now you like the cartoon one. So make up your mind, people. So this is why we got Skyward Sword with a kind of mix of the art styles. And I absolutely love this game. And in Japan, you could get a golden nunchuck to go with your golden remote. Pretty cool stuff. Number 7 surprised me. Came out of nowhere. It was one of the best Zelda games that I had played in 20 years. And that would be The Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds for the 3DS. This is an homage back to the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. It has this very similar art style, absolutely beautiful orchestration, cool maps, cool characters, and a kind of twist of Hyrule and Hyrule. Very interesting. You had this mechanic where you could jump into paintings and move around and things like that. This is a lot of fun. My kids played this and absolutely adored it. This has not been remade because it's not that old, but I highly suggest you try and find a copy of Link Between Worlds. If you loved that game, you will absolutely love this. It was one of the best Zelda games at the time when it came out. It blew me away. Number 6. This still has lasting power. This is the game that I play with me on many a card ride with many a flashlight flashing down. That would be The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening is stunning. Look how tiny it is. It was a full Zelda adventure. It's the first portable Zelda adventure that felt like a full Zelda game, except in a little tiny package. And it played on your Game Boy. Game Boy, not Game Boy Advance, not Game Boy Color, Game Boy. And it was amazing. Link is in this world. He meets these characters named Marin, and everyone's asleep, and there's lots of sea things, and there's a big whale and a big egg, and it's crazy. I'm not going to spoil it, just in case you haven't played this game in the past 20 years, but it still holds up. The soundtrack still holds up to this day. I'm just going to play this. Y'all, we'll just come back. Oh, look at that. These are the original batteries. Fantastic game. Still holds up today. And in fact, it holds up so well that it was remade. This is the same game in color. So if you had a Game Boy Color, or you had a Super Game Boy, you could play Zelda Link's Awakening DX. And what was neat about this is, if you had Game Boy Color, like this right here, there was an extra color dungeon that was added. And this, I'm just going to play this too. I'll see you guys later. Look at that. Amazing color. So there was a color dungeon that was added, and it had the same music as the original dungeon music in The Legend of Zelda. Again, this game is so wonderful. Definitely track it down. But if you haven't had a chance to track it down on old classic system, it was remade for the Switch. And it's an absolutely gorgeous remake. Beautiful art. This is the European version of Link's Awakening and came in this beautiful box. Nintendo of America did not think we wanted this, and I'm not sure what their thinking is there, but we did an unboxing on this a bit ago. It comes with the game and a metal case of the original Game Boy. It's really, really nice. This remake, I loved every second of it. 60 frames a second most of the time, unless you hacked your Switch. Great game. Check it out. Number 6, Link's Awakening. Number 5. When the original Nintendo GameCube came out, if you registered it and registered a couple of games, or you renewed your subscription to Nintendo Power, you got this little goodie. A Zelda promotional disc, and it had a whole bunch of cool games, including a playable demo for my number 5 game, which would be The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. If you pre-order Wind Waker, you got this disc that includes The Legend of Zelda and the Master Quest of the Ocarina of Time and the Master Quest version of that. And a demo for the game that you had pre-ordered, which, okay, sure, whatever. But Wind Waker, this is a completely different art style. One of the first games to use cel-shaded cartoon art style. Link is on a boat. He has to rescue his friends that reveal their identity to be you have to play the game. And it's fantastic. Tons of water, lots and lots and lots of exploration. It really showcased what the GameCube to do. This is one of the first games that had progressive scan output on the GameCube. And it just looks stunning on my old school Sony Trinitron TV that supported progressive mode. It was wonderful. I love this game. And also, if you get to the end fight is so amazing and one of the coolest, most epic scenes that could be in a Zelda game. Wind Waker was remade for the Nintendo Wii U. It came in this big old box that came with the evil wizard Ganondorf. And it's really nice. It took advantage of the dual screen. You could put the map on there, put items and things like that. So when my wife and I got married, Wind Waker was about to come out. And I told her, hey babe, I love you, we're getting married and all that, but when we get back from the honeymoon, I'm gonna play Wind Waker. So you gotta give me like 10 days and then, you know, we can go hang out and do stuff. So Wind Waker was so good, she's not a gamer, but she also started playing too. And she ended up beating the game before me. I was so happy and so proud too. It's like, you're gonna do it! She beat it in less hearts than I did. So she gets mad proud. So Wind Waker, definitely fantastic game. Love it, love the art style, have lots of great memories with it. Check it out. Oh, we're getting to the good stuff now. We're getting to the controversial stuff now. Number 4. When I first acquired my Super Nintendo, I was amazed and astounded by the sound capabilities, the graphics that it could do. Not with like Super Mario World, but with like ActRaiser. It's like, wow, I didn't know this type of music could come out of my system. Then this game came out. The Legend of Zelda. Link to the Past. Absolutely love this game. Overhead set game. This is where Nintendo decided to call it Zelda 3. They decided to go back to the original Zelda design of being overhead rather than the side view because you people didn't like that. What's wrong with you? They went back to the overhead style and an epic adventure, huge adventure. And just when you think you've conquered the palaces, all of a sudden, you're in the dark world. And you have to go through all these things. Again, these 8 palaces, dungeons. And then you fight Ganon. Okay, that's a spoiler. I'm sorry. Sorry. You fight Ganon, and it's a great, awesome battle with stunning music. I was floored by a little kid playing this game and just the amazing music that was coming out of my speakers, the gameplay, the graphics, the puzzles, trying to find 24 heart containers. It was just stunning. My kids were playing through this too, and they love it as well. Like, this is awesome. This game was remade a couple of times. Here's the Japanese release. And it was also remade for the Game Boy Advance. And this is neat because this came with 4 swords, which I'll talk about later. But this is a really good port of the original Super Nintendo game on Game Boy Advance. They had widescreen it out, they added a couple extra features, made a bit more quality of life implementations, but yeah, this is really cool. Okay, this is it. Top 3 Zelda games, just for me. Now, I'm not saying this is for you. I'm not saying this is definitive, but because I'm a huge Zelda fan, see this? See my Zelda shirt? You don't see my Zelda socks, my Zelda underbritches? Top 3 Zelda games. This is it for me. Are we ready? I'm really excited to talk about this. Number 3, the original, the old school, the reason that I'm sitting in front of this camera right now. The Legend of Zelda. So this is me in 6th, 8th, 10th, something like that. Grade school grade. Got a Nintendo, got a couple of games, and got this, The Legend of Zelda. You notice it includes invaluable maps and strategic playing tips. It absolutely opened my imagination to what a video game could be, because I was a kid that was running around in my neighborhood. We had a creek, and not caves, but like forest areas, and I always loved playing in the creek and playing in the forest area and seeing the weird little things that were creeping, crawling around and exploring and having fun, and this game was that. Miyamoto-san, Shigeru Miyamoto, creator of the Legend of Zelda series, you guys probably know this. In the hills of Kyoto, he often would play, and he came across a cave, and the feeling of going into this cave and exploring, he wanted to recreate that, and that's where this came from, the original Legend of Zelda. Link means a link from the player to the game, and to the worlds, and to the things that are going on. And Zelda is named after a wife of Fitzgerald, the famous author. This game's exploration, the graphics, the music, like, it really ignited me. This is the game that made me love video games. I remember asking a kid, because I wanted to draw, like, hey, what's on, I see this is a key, this is a heart, and this is a line thing. What's here? It's like, the game. Like, what do you mean the game? Like, oh, wait. The gold cartridge. I loved it when Nintendo was producing these gold epic cartridges. This is also one of the first games that had a battery backup. So the original Legend of Zelda that came out in Japan was on a Famicom disc. This is it, the Hyrule Fantasy Zelda Densetsu. Densetsu effectively means the legend of. And it took advantage of the expansion sound audio of the disc system and also the saving capability of the disc. And, well, chips weren't able to hold all the data and things like that. But Nintendo of America found a way, were able to put this and come up with battery backup technology because they thought that Americans wouldn't want to play the game if they couldn't save or put in big giant passwords. Tell that to Metroid and Kid Icarus. That's a different story upon itself too. So this is the first game that not only had a battery backup to save, and be sure you hold the reset button before you push the power button. It also was the first game to be gold and beautiful, and talk about the majesty of this game. All we talked about in grade school was all the secrets, blowing the whistles, filling out the maps. Nintendo was cool. The president of Nintendo did not want people to cheat. Well, actually, Shigeru Miyamoto didn't want people to cheat, but the president of Nintendo of America was like, hey, we got to help these guys out. So the compromise was, here, we're going to seal these strategic maps. Oh, you know I opened it. This is a different one. But this manual, look at this manual. This manual has such gorgeous art in it. Check out this opening. Look at that. That's a clay replication of Hyrule. That's the story. In Japan, there's actually a little animation that accompanied these scenes. How to destroy Ganon. Look at that. My original one is in a box somewhere, safe away from the elements. But, oh, this was one of the most well-read pieces of document that I had as a kid. I love this. This and the Dragon Warrior book I took with me everywhere I went. As a kid, I was not very good at video games. Nintendo was my first system. I lost so many times that I reset the counter where it got stuck at 255. Back then, I didn't know why it stopped counting every time I lost at 255. Oh, an 8-bit number goes from 0 to 255, so it just couldn't keep track of how many times I lost the game. Also, the first time, I thought the main character's name was Zelda, so I was like, enter your name. I typed in Zelda. It's like, boom. That takes you to the second quest. I didn't know that. So I'm following along, trying to follow along these maps, and I'm like, okay, this is where level 2 is supposed to be, and it's not at all. Like, things are completely different than what's in the strategy guides I'm looking at. What's the problem? Oh, wait. I started the second quest. Who knew? But these were cool conversations that the kids were having on the playground. So Legend of Zelda, it means so much to me. So much. It has a very special place in my heart. And it's been really awesome to see my kids who are young to also get into this game as well. Even though it has, they like to call it blocky graphics. Like, okay, yeah, pixels. At least they don't say Minecraft graphics. We fixed that. But the adventure is still there. Experience the challenge of endless adventure indeed. This game was remade a lot of places. This game was remade on the Game Boy Advance. So again, it was a Famicom Classic release. And fortunately, we got it as well on Game Boy Advance. There was also, we've talked about the Satellaview. That's Nintendo's satellite system where games could be downloaded. There was a version of Zelda downloaded for that. So if you had this satellite system, this is the flash card. But this is about 8 megs of memory, 8 megabits of memory. You could download this remixed original Legend of Zelda that had like live voices and orchestral music, and it was really cool. And it was it had the same graphical style that Link to the Past did. Now, we never got that over here. We never got the Satellaview. We never got a chance to play the game. However, some intrepid hackers were able to reproduce this game, and you could download it using a device like this. This is a cartridge reader. So you put your game into this, put this, and you could download the fixed ROM and upload it to this thing and actually play Zelda BS. But if you didn't have that flash system, it's okay. Our homebrew scene to the rescue, you could also get one of these. This is a reproduction cartridge of the Legend of Zelda BS. This is definitely, if you're a Zelda fan, you definitely need to try this because again, it's the original Zelda 1, beautiful graphics. Your character was you, not Link. It was you running around this world. It's awesome, awesome. It's really amazing that the communities come together and be able to produce things like this, and we can play games that were lost to the air, lost to infinity, but we can still play them. So for me, my number 3 Zelda game of all time is the original Legend of Zelda. Absolutely love it. If that's the case, what 2 games could be better for me than the original Legend of Zelda, the thing that started it all for me? Number 2. I remember going to Toys R Us because there was a demonstration unit of Mario 64 where we could play this amazing system. And I remember going there and looking in the water portal and have it do like this. It was like, oh my gosh, there's so much hardware and technology. What could they do with a Zelda game? Well, they showed us with The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. I can't say enough good things about this game. If you go to Metacritic, this game is perfect. It might be 99.9999 because there's always somebody, it's you, isn't it? No, it's not you. You have class. But there's always someone who wants to crap on perfection. This game is absolutely stunning, amazing. The Ocarina of Time. This is the collector's edition that came in gold foil. The cartridge also was gold. I wish Nintendo would keep doing these gold cartridges, man. This is one of the original releases of this. This actually has a couple of bugs that aren't in some of the other ones, which is kind of neat. This game had cinematics, 3D graphics, gyro shading, analog control, a huge epic quest watching Link start as a little kid and get 7 years forward. He's an adult. One of the, if not my favorite, climatic fights with Ganon. It's amazing. It gives me goosebumps. Even to this day, trying to play in the big epic battle that ensues. It's awesome. Zelda's Lullaby is one of the most beautiful songs you can hear. I used to load up Zelda's Lullaby to have my kid, named after Zelda, to go to sleep for night time when she's a little baby, like real talk. These games resonate with me. I just can't say enough. It was a huge, epic adventure that blew me away and re-solidified the fact that Zelda is, to me, the greatest adventure series that you can get. Absolutely loved it. You all did too, because this sold by the boat ton, and Nintendo decided to re-release it a few times. So, Nintendo re-released the Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, which this is a great release of this. This was done by Grezzo. They did a great job. I have 2 of them. Now, why do I have 2? Because of homebrew, baby. One to play and one to play. It's really awesome, really fun. They had better graphics, more playability. This is the version that my kids are playing, and they love this as well. The defining game for me. I have an issue of Next Generation around here that has this gold foil because everyone was so hype about the majesty of Zelda 64, and it really truly lived up to that. So for me, my number 2 favorite game is the Ocarina of Time. Before I get to number 1, I gotta talk about some honorable mentions. Great Zelda games in their own right that I can't just discount, that I can't forget about, that I absolutely love, but I just can't give them the time that they deserve. Maybe I can do another video of games that are awesome in Zelda that I didn't give time to. I have to give the first props up to Twilight Princess. Now, I do enjoy Twilight Princess. It's a lot of fun. It's a dark game with Midna. It's a lot of fun. There's a re-release on the Wii U, and it's a good game. I don't think it's as strong as some of the other Zelda titles, but I still like this, and I'm going to play this again. Hyrule Warriors, who doesn't like to smash hundreds of millions of moblins and octoroks and big bosses? This is a lot of fun. The games on the DS, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. I love these 2 games. You can get this little stylus for your DS. Hey, look, listen, look, wake up. The DS games were very strong games. So definitely check those out if you get a chance. Hopefully they'll be released on some easier way to play than trying to track these down. Triforce Heroes, it was a Get Zelda game. But the one I really wanted to talk about, and again, I'll have to do this more another time, is Four Swords. So with this, if you had a GameCube and you had 4 Game Boy Advances and 4 of these little random cables, you could play these 4 different colors of Zelda. My wife and I invite friends over and we would play 4-player Zelda, and it was great. Or even you could also just play 2-player Zelda. It was fantastic playing, like going through levels, and there's certain puzzles that you have to step on to unlock certain things depending on the number of characters that you were doing. It was a lot of fun. I would love to play a multiplayer Zelda in this vein again. Now, the Game Boy Advance version, the Game Boy Advance version also had this Four Swords mode in it as well. It's really cool stuff. All right, here's the big one. Number one, my favorite Zelda game. I'm gonna get a little close to you. When this game came out, there's a lot of things going on in my life. Lots of changes were going on. Changes that were good, but still a lot of changes. So I latched on to this game, and even to this day, sometimes I watch the trailer and like tears come to my eyes because it's just so beautiful. It brought me so much fun and peace, and as I was going through, and that game would be, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Now, is this game perfect? No. There's some things that I would love to have seen in Breath of the Wild that didn't make it. I would love to have more Legend of Zelda-esque music, because the music is one of the things that really resonates and stick with you in games. There was a couple of Zelda tunes. Hyrule Castle, oh, that music was so good, Hyrule Castle. There are a couple of things in it. I would like more music. I would like more things with the title sequence. Breaking of weapons. I could see what they're trying to do to get players to play with different weapons and things like that. The Master Sword didn't really adhere to that, but that said, what was there was absolutely stunning. Huge open world where you could go through and try and beat all of the bosses and then fight Ganon properly, or you could just go straight to Ganon, get your 4 items, jump off the island, go straight to Ganon like you were some crazy person with a lot more skill than me. This is one of my favorite games, period, of all time. Now, is this game perfectly 100% original? No. Assassin's Creed has been crawling up towers and looking over huge open worlds for years, but it's up to Nintendo to take these things and streamline them and make them perfect. That's what they do. Breath of the Wild is the ultimate, my favorite open world video game. Awesome enemies, scary things like being chased by a guardian is one of the scariest things. Oh, fighting Lionels, especially the big strong metal Lionels with, oh gosh. Oh man, there's so many memories. Great voice acting, lots of story coming from some of the characters that you meet in the game that they're amiibo for. Be sure you pick up the amiibo. Also, it was really neat that you could go in and collect these 12 memories. I think there were 12 memories that brought backstory back from Zelda, and her quest to try and keep Ganon on lockdown. And this, just watching those stories and hearing the VO and seeing all the acting and everything coming together and meeting the King of Hyrule and all the story and spoilers I'm not going to talk about, and there's just so much this game. I absolutely love Breath of the Wild. It reopened up that imagination of like when you first walk into dun 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 dun, you first walk in, it's like, oh, it's a big huge open world like the original Legend of Zelda. This game, the other Zeldas, previous Zeldas, they're a little bit more linear and they kind of guided you where you need to go. This one was like, no, open up, starts off, forget you, go do what you want to do, go do your thing. And I love that about this game, Breath of the Wild. And also what was even cooler is you got this really neat expansion pack. So this expansion pack gave you more backstory to the characters, and it also got you like a Super Master Sword and a Link's motorcycle bike that you could play in Mario Kart 2. So expanding the game, making it even better. And I am super pumped. As much as I love Breath of the Wild, the dark grittiness of Breath of the Wild 2 looks even crazier. I'm so pumped for that. So for me, my favorite Zelda game, for right now, well, that might change. My favorite Zelda game is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. And to say that over the Ocarina of Time and the original Legend of Zelda is quite a statement for me. That's it. That is my homage, my love letter to The Legend of Zelda, my celebration of Zelda's 35th. What about you? What are some of your favorite Zelda games? What game am I completely wrong and out in left field on? Or what game's like, you know what? He's right. This game deserves all the props. Adventure of Link is fantastic. What games are your favorites for you? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming along with us on this new journey. So please, like, subscribe, smash that notification icon so you get new content the second that it drops. And remember, gamers who play together stay together. So love one another, keep gaming, be safe. We love you. Peace. Are we at number 5? What? Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, number 5. Okay. Just rolling through this. I usually don't move fast on anything. Phrasing.